Propertyology regards right now as a very exciting time for investing in Australian real estate. There are some fantastic opportunities that Propertyology can help you take advantage of before buyers re-emerge from their coronavirus cocoons. Propertyology has a national focus. Now more than ever, experience and knowledge are the most valuable currency. Propertyology has that in spades. To find out how Propertyology's multi-award-winning buyers agents can help you prosper, contact them now at propertyology.com.au.
Welcome to the Smart Property Investment Show with your host, Phil Tarrant.
Good day. How you going? Thanks for joining us on the show today. It's an interesting time to be talking about property investing. And as we navigate as a nation through the coronavirus, COVID-19, and there will be some impact on property markets, and we'll make sure that we keep you informed around what's happening. We'll get people into the studio to have a discussion with us about all those different things so you can make better property investment decisions. We'll keep covering it off moving forward. But life moves on. What we do know about this is that there's a whole bunch of bright people trying to find out how we can steer ourselves as a nation, as a globe through the coronavirus crisis. Now, property investment is something we love talking about on the Smart Property Investment Show. We love getting investors in the studio to have a chat with us. I've got one in today, Jason Chapman. Maybe we'll talk about coronavirus. Maybe we'll just talk about life before coronavirus happened or after coronavirus. Jason, how you going, mate? You well?
I'm well, thanks, Phil. How are you?
Good, mate. So, is the coronavirus changing the way you're investing?
No,
Okay.
not for me.
All right.
I'm still hungry.
Yeah.
I'm keen, and I'm hoping to look forward to, maybe even finding something good to buy in the next couple of months. We'll see how our life plays out, I suppose, with things like that. But hopefully it presents a good opportunity or two for myself and some others looking into buying the market.
Yeah. So what do you do for a living?
I work for the railways. I'm a
Okay.
single electrician, so that's pretty cool for my day job. Working around trains, not that I'm a train buff or anything like that, but pays the bills, gets the job done, allows me to do what it is I want to do. So
you're a singleman.
signal electrician.
So you're Sparky.
Yeah,
But,
yep.
So you just make sure signals work.
Basically, yeah.
Okay. It's pretty complicated these days, like the sophistications of signals and how people map and monitor signals, or is it just still wiring up things and making sure green light globes work on train tracks?
I suppose at its simplest thing, it is about getting trains from point A to point B.
Yeah.
And so we maintain a lot of the infrastructure that allows them to do that safely. Yeah.
Is it an outside job or you're sort of stuck in an office doing stuff?
No, it is an outside job. There is a little bit of going in the office and, paperwork and things like that involved, but it is primarily travelling out and maintaining the infrastructure itself, which is really good. I personally don't like being cooped up in an office all day, so it works really well for me, getting outdoors and enjoying the sunshine.
Is it a solo thing or are you always with like a crewmate? Like, tell us about an average day.
Yeah, well, we work with crews. Depends, crews of 3, crews of 4, or who's on and what sort of things like that.
Yeah.
Basically, we do what would be classified as preventative maintenance. So we go out there and do checks on certain systems and make sure that they're working all right. And then, of course, when things go wrong, they call us and say, "Oh, can you go and fix that for us, please?" And you got to try and do your best and fix it quickly to get the trains running again and keep the people happy.
I imagine, well, you got to keep people moving and, I'm sure you're going to be busy moving forward. So how long have you been, did you do a electrician apprenticeship and then move into railways, or you joined the railways and did your apprenticeship? How did it work?
I joined the railways and did my apprenticeship through them. So that was basically, we got qualified as an electrician, but on top of that, we have to learn the railway specific stuff as well. So I've now been working for the railways for just over 9 years. So yeah, it's pretty exciting. There's a lot of different equipment. It's not like it's working on the same thing all the time, depending on where you're working. You got a lot of older things right up to sort of the newer technologies, and knowing everything about everything is always something to learn. So.
And where's home for you? Where do you live?
I'm from Newcastle.
Okay.
I live in a little suburb called Holmesville, which is where Jennifer Hawkins is from, actually, or she was born there originally.
Okay. Is that the claim to fame, is it?
It is, yeah. It's just a nice
Is
little
there little
suburb.
tourist things going around going, that's where she grew up? Is it just where she grew up, just a normal little house somewhere on the street?
As far as I know, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly whereabouts in Holmesville,
Yeah.
but it's not a particularly big suburb, so it'd be somewhere nearby where we live. But yeah, it's good. I live on half an acre, so nice big shed to have all my cars and stuff like that in there. And when I'm not at work, I'm trying to be in there as much as I can.
What, just toys and stuff?
Yeah. So I'm into mini trucks like utes with airbag suspension and old school stuff. Like I have a Cadillac at the moment as well, 1970 convertible Cadillac. So I try and get in the shed and play around with those sort of things as much as I can and get out and enjoy them as much as I can.
So you got like low riders and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah. I try and go to as many things like that as I can, car shows and stuff like that. So
you do all the work yourself?
I try and do as much as I can. Some things I buy, other things I try and work on or, improve and things like that. Just depends on what it is and what's going on at the time.
Yeah. So you work, make money, got a good hobby and you also invest in property.
Yeah. I suppose buying and working on cars and investing in properties are usually sort of two opposites. One's to try and make money, and generally one costs you a lot of money, but you got to have your fun as well as enjoying your future as well, I suppose. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to get into, I guess, your career so far as a property investor. We just go to a break before I'm back in a moment.
The Trident Formula, created by Sam Gordon at Australian Property Scout, is the strategic way to build a profitable property portfolio. If you're looking to perfect your strategy, go to www.australianpropertyscout.com.au to book a call with Sam himself.
Welcome back, everyone. Here with Jason Chapman, a Newcastle native. You're born and bred in Newcastle?
I am, yes.
Yeah, okay. Still lives up there, working on the railways, keeping the trains running as a electrician. Now, do you use a lot of your electrical skills on your cars? Like, it must be some sort of crossover, right?
There is a little bit of a crossover. Before I joined the railways, I started an automotive mechanical apprenticeship. But even before that, I always had an interest in sort of nuts and bolts and stuff like that, learning off my dad. So I sort of carried that around. You know, the basis of electronics and electricity and stuff like that can transfer across sometimes. But yeah, a lot of it's just sort of learning off your own bat. So
I've got this picture of, you know, and I'm going to probably stereotype here, but like a nice big green shed full of cars, tools everywhere, a sofa in a corner, a fridge there probably full of rum or bourbon, stuff hanging up on the walls. Am I painting the right picture here?
You're not too far from it, yeah.
Did you keep your workshop pretty tidy? Are you that sort of guy?
I need to clean it up at the moment, actually. It's got
Okay.
stuff everywhere. I generally get into a bit of a flurry and, you know, I'll be in there and working on something for quite a while, create a mess, then I'll leave it a little while and go, I really need to clean this up after I finish doing that. Usually it's always a rush before trying to go away for a car show or something like that. So, yep.
And then what, you get in there and just spend your evenings there tinkering and getting stuff done?
Yeah, playing around, you know, fixing things, because a lot of the times our cars, the things we like to be into, they break or they'll need modification of some sort. So in there, chopping and changing, doing what we can.
So when you look at your property portfolio, is it a shambles like your garage, or is it a little bit more of a tighter ship? Tell us about it. So how many properties in your portfolio now?
So I bought my first investment property about 4 years ago. I bought in a suburb called Bolton Point. And it's been doing not too bad with that one.
Where's Bolton Point? It must be on the water somewhere, is it?
Yeah, it's on the shores of Lake Macquarie. You can sort of see the lake from my backyard.
Okay.
Hit the water if you wanted to.
So you bought this investment property but you currently live in it? Is that how it works?
No, I bought that one while I was still living at home. I was not too far out of my apprenticeship at that time. And yeah, my parents, they've been into property for a while, and I've always sort of, you know, tried to follow their suit. And we went and looked at this place, and sort of one of the first places we were sort of serious about. Seemed like a good price at the time. And, you know, not so much research, but the logic behind it was, well, it might not be in the best area at the moment, but you could throw a rock and hit $1 million houses on the water. So I figured that's got to count for something in the sort of future.
Well, so I might get James, our producer here, mate, can you check out the numbers for Bolton Point? I'm just looking at it on the Google map. It's a small town, a small place, isn't it? Like, there's only, 1, 2, 3, 4, it looks like only about 20 streets there, right?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of streets around there.
Yeah. The Ridgeway. There we go. So is it nice lake around there, or is it sort of the smelly bit where it gets heaps of weed?
No, Bolton Point's not too bad. You know, it still is got a bit of housing commission going on in that area. So it can be a little bit dicey depending on where you're going, but it still is a nice place. And I think that, it's going to work out well, hopefully for me in the future.
Yeah. How much did you pay for the property?
I think we purchased that one for $316.
Okay. And that was how long ago?
That was about 4 years ago.
Okay. And what do you reckon it's valued at today?
I'm hoping it's going to come up sort of closer to the 400 mark, probably around 375, 390 maybe. We'll see how we go.
Yeah. Do you do any work on it, or you just said as is when you bought it?
Funny story, I bought it as it is, and then about a year and a half ago, the last tenant in there accidentally set the back half of the house on fire.
You get that.
Yeah, so sort of gutted it all that. I had to do a whole bunch of work. I had to go to tribunal. She didn't want to pay the money and stuff like that.
Okay.
But
for her renting it during that period of time?
Or so she was behind in the rent, and then after this happened, they said, well, obviously you can't set houses on fire, so we need to get rid of you. And she was like, I don't want to pay you back for where I'm in arrears already. So while they were doing...
Was it an accidental fire?
They say it was accidental. I would hope it was. But she was all right. Her kids were all right, you know, so that's the main thing. But while that was getting repaired and fixed, I went through and spent a bit more money and got like the whole outside repainted, did a few other little things as well, like put a new toilet in and just a general sort of tidy up.
Yeah.
And so that actually worked in my favour, because once it was all said and done, it tidied it up a bit more and I was able to get a little bit more rent for it. So that was all right.
There you go. And when you sort of were doing the renos on it, how long was it off the market for?
Well, it was only supposed to take about a month and a half, but insurance companies like to take their time, or something happened along the lines there. It ended up being off the market for about 3.5 months, close to 4 months, I think.
Okay.
But that's the importance of having insurance with that sort of stuff. So at least I was covered for while it was off the market for that time.
And you were living at home still during this period of time?
I was, yes. I was still living at home. So,
Okay.
in the background, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't affecting me that much. So, I still felt pretty safe. And then once it was all fixed and back on the market, I think it was rented within about a week and a half. So
That's cool. And the insurance covered loss of rent and also to fix it?
Yep, definitely. So that's one thing, I don't mess around when it comes to insurance. I think that it's a good idea to insure as much as you can because you don't never know. Accidents do happen and someone can set your house on fire. And this was sort of my first introduction to it all. So pretty glad I took that all out now.
Yeah, and the key tip there is to make sure you're well insured, not just for, the contents and stuff, but, for loss of rent because of something like this. So, you can carry the mortgage through that period and also ensure that you can get the place back to where it needs to be so you can start generating income again. Would you do anything different in that regards or you think you got that pretty covered?
In terms of that, I think that was pretty all right. It did take a lot longer because the painters said that they didn't get told that they needed to do this and they were waiting for the cleaners to come through. And so that's why it took a lot longer than it originally should have. But once again, having insurance that paid for the whole time it was down, so it didn't really worry me too much while it was happening.
Well, this is important, and it's good to be covered. You need to have this sort of sleep at night factor. James, how's the numbers on? Is it Bolton Point?
Bolton Point, yes. So I got Bolton Point up here, Phil. Median house price at the moment sitting at 397,500.
Yep.
Over the quarter, it's seen a loss over 0.87%. In price. The median 12-month growth has been negative 34.02%. So not too great over the year, but over 3 years, it's seen a 10.57% growth. Over 5 years, it's seen a 50% growth.
Okay.
The 10-year average annual growth has been 8.34%. And with a gross rental yield of 5.1%.
Okay. It's not a bad sounding area. By the way, all those numbers, where they come from, James?
They come from smartpropertyinvestment.com.au.
Okay, nice one. You can just click on that data button and you can search any suburb in Australia. So use that as a good tool. So the property's still there. Any plans to do anything else with it, or is it you just going to let it sit there and stew?
Yeah, basically just plan to hold on to that one, like I said, for sort of the long term. So hopefully in, 15 years' time or something like that, once the whole area starts improving and getting cleaned up a little bit, it'll all work out in my favour for that one. So
that's cool. All right, and where are you living now? Are you in your principal place of residence at the moment?
I am, yes. So not too long after I bought that property, I met my girlfriend and we did a bit of travelling. I was over in Europe for a few months and stuff like that, still living at home. And then my sister moved back home and decided I didn't want to sort of stay with her at home anymore. So my girlfriend and I decided to move out, and that was my first experience renting a house. I had rented industrial sheds for my cars and stuff, but never a house before. So we moved out and rented for 3 months, not too far from where I was. Only there for 3 months, and I sort of said to her, well, look, I want to buy a house with a bit of land and a nice size shed so I can stop sort of paying 2 separate rents. Then we found our place at Holmesville, went and did the inspection, bit of to and from with the agent, and then I ended up purchasing that about 2 years ago. So
okay, well, let's have a chat about that. We'll just go to another break beforehand. Back in a moment.
Propertyology regards right now as a very exciting time for investing in Australian real estate. There are some fantastic opportunities that Propertyology can help you take advantage of before buyers re-emerge from their coronavirus cocoons. Propertyology has a national focus. Now more than ever, experience and knowledge are the most valuable currency. Propertyology has that in spades. To find out how Propertyology's multi-award-winning buyers agents can help you prosper, contact them now at propertyology.com.au.
Welcome back, everyone. Here with Jason Chapman, chatting through his journey through property. So, principal place of residence, Holmesville. James, I'll get you to run those numbers for me when you get them. So you're paying 2 rents. So you were just like renting an industrial shed to keep all your cars and around the way, yeah?
Yeah, basically. Yeah. So I've been renting an industrial shed for probably 6 or 7 years in various locations from the Central Coast to back up towards Newcastle, and then another one again after that.
Is that expensive?
I shared with a few other people, so it wasn't too bad, but I always saw it as, why should I pay for someone else's shed when I could buy a house with a shed and then, I don't have to compete with anybody going, where's my 10mm socket going, So
And that happens no doubt, right?
It does, it definitely does, yeah.
So finding a principal place of residence, was that a big thing for you? You needed to have a shed on it or be able to build a shed?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So I was looking for somewhere that already had a shed on it, so that it wasn't going to, cost me too much in the changeover from having to buy a place and then save the money and build a shed on top. I wanted something I could move everything out of from my industrial shed where I was renting and put it straight into the shed where I was living. So
yeah. And how big a shed did you need and what did you end up with?
Well, I don't think you can ever have a big enough shed. When we looked at our place, I think the shed that I've got at the moment is about 7.5 by 12 metres.
Okay.
And we're looking through it and my girlfriend sort of said, this shed's huge. What do you need a shed this big for? I said, I don't think you understand just how much I have. And it's full now. We don't even get to put our daily drive cars in there because there's so much stuff. And it's like, yeah, okay, maybe we can build that shed a little bit bigger now.
How many cars you got in there?
Well, at the moment, I've got a Toyota Hilux. That's my main sort of one that I try and drive around to mini truck shows and stuff like that. I've got a 1970 convertible Cadillac.
Okay, that's cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then I got a few other bits and pieces of toys in there, all the camping gear, the dirt bikes.
Usual stuff.
Usual stuff, yep, all the tools.
Yeah, that's cool. It's you got to get it right. And what about the house itself?
The house itself, it's a 3-bedroom house.
Yeah.
It's an old one. I think it was built in about the 60s and it's had a few renovations done.
Brick?
No, it's not brick. It's a weatherboard house.
Yep.
You know, we might look at doing a knockdown rebuild maybe in the future, depending on how things go. But it's pretty good. I mean, it's only the two of us and a dog at the moment. So,
So you like the area? It's a good place
I
to
do.
be?
I like the area. You know, the neighbours are good. It's a massive backyard. You know, you can have a big fire away from the house down in the backyard.
Yeah.
And, you know, everyone's really friendly and everyone's sort of happy to let you do what you want to do.
That's pretty cool. James, what's the numbers on Holmesville?
Yes, so back on here on smartpropertyinvestment.com.au, search Holmesville. So we're looking at a median house price of $471,000. Over the quarter, it has seen a 0.21% growth, so pretty steady there. Over 12 months, it has seen a negative 8.54% growth, so down a bit over the year. Over 3 years, it has seen a 11.48% growth. 5 years, it has seen a 25.6% growth. And over 10 years, the average annual growth has been 6.43%, with a gross rental yield of 4.47%.
Okay, so steady performer. What did you buy in it? How much?
So it's sort of with the suburb being that sort of small as well, I guess the figures can throw you off, and that's the difference between reading things online and just going on numbers and actually
looking
being
at the
there.
map, there's some big, industrial estates here. It seems to be a kind of big, the suburb is kind of in one corner, and then you got, a few big farms, almost some woodland there, like some
a
bush,
bit of bush. So like where we bought, we've got half an acre, just over 2,000 square. So it's a nice big yard. And yet some of the other places, there's a new estate just up the road and those blocks are sort of only around the 500 sort of size. So, we paid 600 for ours about 2 years ago. But like I said, we got the land and the big shed to go with. So that's the main thing.
That sounds pretty good. And the plan is potentially knock down and rebuild over time, but you're just happy with everything being it is right now?
Yeah, at the moment we're just letting it sort of go, and when we're in a position to maybe get the money, the funds to do that, then we might look at doing that. But at the moment we're pretty happy with what we've got. So.
And what about, how'd you raise a deposit to get it? Was it pretty easy, or did you refinance the other place?
So I haven't refinanced any places yet. When I first bought my property at Bolton Point, I'd been saving for a long time through my apprenticeship, and I had a bunch of money sitting there ready to go. I went there and looked at it with my parents. I was like, yep, we made the offer and secured it. And then my parents were very kind and they sort of said, oh, we know you've got the money there. We know you can pay for it straight out of your pocket. But instead of doing that and then you losing everything that you've got, we'll go in as guarantor for you. So they actually came in and did the guarantor part of the loan. So that sort of split over 80-20 and we borrowed over 100% of the cost for Bolton Point. I am looking to refinance that very, very shortly, hopefully to go again. But when we came time to buy our property at Holmesville, we were looking there, and with all the money that I had and my girlfriend had at the time, we were a little bit short. So we worked out, look, what's our options? We could borrow a bit more money and then we wouldn't really have any savings at all, which I was not quite comfortable with. And then my parents, once again, they said, look, we know you're pretty good with your money. You're responsible enough. We'll help you out with this one as well. And then
Bank of Mum and Dad. So they just got as guarantors. So they're not actually ponying up deposit for you. They're just saying, hey, look, to the bank, we'll guarantee these guys, if they don't pay, they'll pay.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And that's an important point. And for those of you tuning in who are parents and have got children who are potentially nearing the age or at the age where they might want to start investing or buying a property, it is a great tool to go guarantor on a loan, but there's a whole bunch of responsibilities associated with it as well. So make sure you get the right advice around that. It's a nice sentiment to help your kids into property, and it's been a great tool for many people to get started. I know some people in particular who have leveraged the Bank of Mum and Dad to get going in property, and it's been very successful. But you also hear other times when things go bad. So if you go into it, go in all eyes open, get the advice, make sure you've got agreements in place and plan for the worst, hope for the best, but that's the best way to go through it. So you said you're going to go again, so another investment property at some point soon?
Yeah, so I'm hoping to refinance my place at Bolton Point and then pay Mum and Dad back for that part.
Yep.
And that'll sort of tidy that one up there, and then use the equity from that to hopefully go again. So
okay, and would you buy up Newcastle way?
No, I think I've sort of got enough going on in Newcastle at the moment. I'm liking Brisbane, whether I go sort of north or south, I'm a bit on the fence at the moment. It just depends on sort of how much money I'm able to borrow and where I decide to throw my dart and land on that one.
Well, the good thing is banks like people that do what work you do, right? Like it's a nice inverted commas, safe job, which is predictable with a stable employer, and there's always chance for overtime as well, right? Which is always quite handy. Is that always available for you if you want to work it?
There's always a fair bit there. Sometimes it gets a bit tighter, but I'm a slave to the money. I do love going in and getting the extra money, anything I sort of can to get ahead, and it allows me to do what I want to do as well. If that be travel, I don't focus purely on just going straight in and buying houses left, right and centre and sacrificing everything else I got. I try to enjoy the now as well as planning for the future as well. So.
That's cool. So you're happy to work weekends if they need it? You're happy to do that?
I'm rostered at the moment, so I already do 2 weekends out every 4.
Okay. So everyone gets their go, right?
That's it. That's it. But, at the moment I'm trying to do as much overtime as I can because I don't really have anything stopping me. But the whole idea of me getting into and buying property and investing is that later on I can choose to not do as much overtime and, maybe even start working a little bit less. So that's the long-term goals.
So you listen to the Smart Property Investor. How did you find the podcast? Did you just stumble across it one day?
Yeah, I hadn't really listened to many podcasts at all. And then I just sort of jumped on Spotify. I was like, I wonder if there's any investment show podcasts or property podcasts in Australia. And sure enough, this one popped up and I've been hooked ever since.
Oh, cool. How do you think, are we sort of given everything you need, or can we do something better, you reckon?
No, I think it's really good. It's awesome hearing a lot of different people's stories. There's not just one singular way to go about doing things. And every now and then someone will say something and you go, I hadn't even thought about doing that. And it just gives you other options and other things to consider as you go through. So
that's the idea. And when do you normally listen to it? When you're driving to work and stuff?
To and from work. Yeah. Mostly I even listened to it on the way here today.
Oh, yeah, good. Yep. You drove down from Newcastle. The road's pretty quiet.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad today, so that's good.
Yeah, that's good. And how else do you sort of make better informed investment decisions? Have you got, a broker or anything that helps you out? Or
I do, I have a really good broker and he's been awesome. From the second I stepped in, it wasn't trying to sell me something or, you should straight away do this. It was just no pressure. It was just, here's some options for you, things to consider. And he's awesome. He helps me out a lot of the way. Yeah. And then also, my parents, they've had a few properties over the years and I lean on them a lot for advice and, thoughts on this or thoughts on that or how I should go about doing things. So they're really useful for that as well.
Yeah, nice one. So what next? You're just going to, have you got finance ready to go for a new property?
I don't. I'm hoping to get another valuation done at the end of this month. So I tried in December and it didn't quite come where I want. So I'm just waiting for that 3 months to be up and then ready to go again and just getting the other finance behind the curtain sort of sorted at the moment. Yeah. So I'm ready to go when I find something.
And you'll do it alone if you head up to Brisbane? Are you going to fly up there and sort it out, or are you going to use a buyer's agent or someone else?
I'd probably try and do it myself because not that I have anything against buyer's agents, but I think that if I can invest in the time and knowledge in myself, then I should be able to try and learn as much as I can and make those decisions. And then, if something does go wrong, it's solely on me. I can't blame anybody else but myself. So yeah.
True. That's fair enough. Well, it's good, mate. Keep at it, Jason. Let me know how you get on next time you buy something and where you buy and what it is and what it looks like and the numbers around it. We love covering this sort of stuff off. And for me, very much, you are the smart property investment community, right? People who are just working at it, getting stuff done, investing in property, but also having a life outside of it. So these are the stories that we love to tell, mate. So thanks for coming in and having a chat to us.
Thanks very much for having me on.
Nice one. Hope you enjoyed that, everyone. If you've got any questions at all around Jason and what he's up to, you can email the team here, editor@smartpropertyinvestment.com.au, and we'll get that answered up. And we'll get Jason back on, who'll keep connected, and he'll let us know when he's buying the next place. Make sure you keep connected also with everything that's happening in property at the market. It's a very fluid circumstances with COVID-19 happening right now. You can just go to smartpropertyinvestment.com.au, or if you want to subscribe, say the first to know what's happening in property right across the nation, smartpropertyinvestment.com.au/subscribe. Social media, Smart Property HQ. James, thanks for stepping in with those numbers
Thank you.
Data. Go and check it out. They're updated every single month once we get fresh information from our friends at Core Logic. Hope you enjoyed that, guys. We'll be back again next time. Until then, bye-bye.
The information featured in this podcast is general in nature and does not take into consideration your financial situation or individual needs and should not be relied upon. Before making any investment, insurance, tax, property, or financial planning decision, you should consult a licensed professional who can advise whether your decision is appropriate for you. Guests appearing on this podcast may have a commercial relationship with the companies mentioned.
The Trident formula, created by Sam Gordon at Australian Property Scout, is the strategic way to build a profitable property portfolio. If you're looking to perfect your strategy, go to www.australianpropertyscout.com.au to book a call with Sam himself.